I didn't know it would be this hard to be creative. Hey everyone, I'm Tori, the Crafty Girl, and about 3 weeks ago, I actually quit my full-time job to focus on art and activism full-time. It was a big change, and I don't know what I was expecting, but over the last 3 weeks, I've actually found it difficult to be creative. And that's probably a large part to my ADHD brain. What I keep finding myself doing is latching on to different crafts. And I'm also prepping because I got accepted to an art market in October. So I'm trying to figure out designs for that as well as being creative. On top of all that, trying to figure out a revenue source. There's a lot going on. And if you like content like this, you can totally help me out. Click like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. That will help me continue to do this full time and try to make a difference in the world that we live in. So over the course of the last few weeks, I have been sewing, which is something I do anyway. But I recently discovered stamps. And of course, my ADHD brain has decided that that is where we're going to hyperfixate right now. So, I'm still working on things for the market, but I'm trying to find ways for upcycling that is interesting, that is unique. A lot of people are upcycling and it's amazing. We're saving so many textiles from the landfill, but I can only see so many, transformed t-shirts and the same upcycles over and over again, without finding me in all of them. So I went to our creative reuse center here in Spokane, Washington, called Art Salvage. And essentially it's like a thrift craft store. And they do bulk sales of a lot of things to get you inspired. And one of the bulk things they do is stamps. So you can get different size bags for like $1, $3, $5 and just fill it up with whatever you want in the category. And for me, I started with one little small bag of stamps for $1. I probably got like 15. Came home, started playing around with stamping them on clothing, trying to understand the stamps a little bit better. And of course, from there, I decided that, maybe I should make my own stamps. And that's where we are today. So I had some credit to Michael's, and y'all know I try to buy everything secondhand if I can, but I had this gift card that I had to use. So I purchased myself a rubber stamp carving kit. So we have a kit right here, and I'm gonna try to make a stamp using that. But my friends, you also may know that I love my Cricut. I do a lot of crafts with my Cricut, and one of the things that I was interested in is making my own stamps with the Cricut, particularly my brand stamp, because it's letters and it's very specific with the typography. So at Art Salvage, I got myself some foam. Okay, just a little foam for like 50 cents or 25 cents. And I'm going to try to make my own stamps using the Cricut. And we're going to compare and see how both of them work. Now, of course, I've been watching a lot of videos and tips and tricks on how to make all of this happen. The end goal is to create a design with the Cricut for my brand and a design using the Lino cut method and put them on a t-shirt or put them on something before the end of this video. So stick around if you want to see how it all turns out. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is to create a design. And I'm just using Canva because I wanted to try to save some of the time, because I know that the lino cutting is actually going to take quite a bit of time. So I actually got together a bunch of images. By the way, if you don't know, I grew up in Arizona and I spent the bulk of my childhood in the desert. So for me, Arizona holds a very special place in my heart. So I wanted to do something that represented you know, my time in Arizona. Now, I could do each of these images individually and have them as a stamp, but what I think I'm going to do with this first one is I'm going to try to carve this image. That's why I went with pretty solid images, just to make life easier. Again, this is the first time I've ever done this. I've never even touched, you know, lino cutting at all. So this is going to be an adventure. And again, we want to have some success today, right? So I went with these pretty solid images that to me look like they would be easy to carve using the carving tools. I also think I might take this image and put it in Cricut as well and create a stamp in Cricut. And then I can compare the two and show you how they do compare to each other. And then, you know, of course, I'm playing around my love of mushrooms. I have recently just discovered how much I love mushrooms and how different they are and how unique they are. And then this morning I was sitting on my sofa and thinking about my last trip to Wyoming, where I did a little walking tour of mushrooms in the Bighorn National Forest. And looking out my window, I have, you know, a little wind chime that is different mushrooms. And I thought, well, let's do another really simple item and we can do this mushroom print right here. And I think that one will be great. And here in Cricut Design Space, I've already uploaded, this is my brand. It's very simple. Again, this is why I think this would be great for using the Cricut. So my logo, this actually goes up here, and I want them separate because I want to be able to stamp them with different colors and actually be able to use the little heart recycle one for different, you know, for different branding. So the one thing about Cricut is that it's going to cut out each of these letters individually, and that is going to be interesting. All right, so we're going to start, let's start with Cricut. We'll start with Cricut. We'll see how that goes. And then we'll get into the lino cutting. All right, so we're in the basement where I have my Cricut, and we are going to attempt to make this Cricut stamp. So as I mentioned, we're gonna do this with foam, just foam. This is just like foam you can find at thrift stores, at craft stores, and I just have two little sheets of it. And then I'm just gonna use a standard mat. My mats are pretty destroyed, but I'm gonna use a standard mat, and I'm going to use masking tape to keep it in place. So that's the plan. I'm also using a deep point blade. I saw multiple things. People said use deep point, some said use a knife blade. I'm gonna go with deep point. I have both of them, but I think we're gonna try it with deep point first. So we're gonna click make. Sure, we'll save this project. Okay, we are going to mirror, and also my paper is not that big. See, that's the other thing. We're learning together, friends. My paper is only 8 by 11, so we need to make sure we are adjusting for that. So I'm just moving these around and then continue. So we should have a craft foam option. Craft foam. Okay, we're gonna choose craft foam. And again, this is our first shot, so we'll see how it goes. So let's give her a whirl here. And I can already tell it's not working. It's already messing up, probably because my cuts are so small. So we'll see how the other one works. Wah, wah. So let's not waste any more of this paper. All right, so just because, again, we're doing this experiment together. So yeah, I don't like this. Yeah, this is not what it is supposed to do. All right, back to the drawing board. All right, so we're gonna try something simpler. we are going to do just a basic mushroom shape. So I'm gonna see if this, and I'm actually making it bigger as well. All right, so we're gonna try EVA foam. I don't know what the difference is, but we'll give it a go, and we're just gonna let this one go this time. All right, it does not look good. I'm gonna have to take my X-Acto knife and trim it, but let's take it off the mat and see what it looks like on the other side. And we really only need one of these at the top to have that cut out. So let's see how that looks. So we just need to trim up a bunch of this. Okay, well this side actually doesn't look so bad. It's just the ragged side. We are gonna finish this upstairs. I think we have enough that we can work with and decide if we're gonna call this a success or not, but I need to go upstairs for the rest of my tools. So now we are waiting for this one to dry and we'll see how it goes. But let's just give this one a test. There's not much to it. Okay. Okay, not bad. It's cute. And I do have this block that I could actually glue it on. I don't think I hate it. Yeah, I don't hate this at all. I'm gonna clean up a little bit more. I can see up here, I don't really like this. So I just grabbed a couple of things. So I've had this box forever, but I just wanted to show you some items that you can use to put your stamps on, or what I'm gonna use. Now these are super tiny, so you'd need to like hot glue a few of them together. But I also have this right here. What I'm gonna do is, I already got this stamp, and I actually picked it up because it didn't have the stamp on the back, and it just so happens to be the perfect size for the mushroom. So I am going to, I don't think it really matters which side, maybe I'll put it on this side to cover that up. So I'm gonna hot glue this to this block right here. And then this is still drying, but I'm gonna hot glue this here. All right, so we're gonna let that one dry. I should move that to the center, but that's okay. And then we'll just make a few little extras using all the scraps and making random shapes. So I'm gonna let those dry and get some lunch and wash my hands because they are crazy dirty. Okay, so it is 4:30 p.m. and we are currently in a heat advisory. It is 99 degrees at the moment. Our house does not have central air, and I'm pretty sure you can tell by looking at me that I have got to the point where I'm just too hot to be upstairs. So I didn't get to the second part of the stamps today, which is the Instructables and the Lino cutting, and we're gonna dive into that first thing tomorrow. So now I need to go get some ice water. All right, so it is officially day 2 of my hyperfixation with creating stamps. So, you know, I haven't quite given up on the Cricut. Have I started the Lino cutting yet? Nope. Haven't. However, I did shower, and that is a big step today. So what I'm gonna do, I watched a video by Corinne Blackstone, and I'm gonna link her video below. Even if this doesn't work for me, it was a great video, especially if you're making very simple stamps. And I think the issues that I was having with the Cricut were, you know, I guess my design is a little intricate because it has a lot of sharp corners because it is text. So this certainly could be my issue, but I am going to do a couple of things that she mentioned in her video. Number one, I'm going to create a custom material, and I'm going to use her recommended setting. I think it was 215 pressure on a deep point blade. So I'm going to try that. And then I'm also going to try my strong grip mat. And I don't know if it'll make any difference, but I'm not ready to give up yet. So we're going to give it one more chance. And if it doesn't work, say la vie. And we'll dive into lino cutting. All right, well, I spent all morning, it is, I think, 12:30. I spent all morning working on this stamp and this stamp with the Cricut. I didn't record it because it was, again, super frustrating. I 100% do not recommend the Cricut for making stamps unless you're doing a very basic shape. When we did this one, it almost worked out. I mean, I think that the outline is really great. So if you were going to do like a solid shape, the Cricut could be good. But when it comes to text or any intricate designs, I'm gonna say no. So essentially, I changed the settings and it cut out kind of, but then I had to go back in and trim up. And then I also had to recreate some of the letters. So like the F and the H and the I just cut those out by hand anyway. I then, kind of a dumb move, but now, you know, if I look back, it's dumb. I didn't have a piece of wood handy that I could put the stamp on. So I thought to myself, oh, I could just use this cardboard box that I have sitting around. Yeah, by the way, you do have to wash stamps. So I washed this one and yeah, that's when I realized that the cardboard is probably not the best idea. But how it turned out, so an example, and this is what I kind of wanted to use it for, is just, you know, really light over some upcycled paper bags that I can use for packaging, right? Like that's all it was meant to be. So I think for that use, it's fine. And it also has this like DIY aesthetic. So I don't hate it. It's not my font. It's not my actual logo, but it's pretty darn close. And I did also create this little like heart with arrows. Again, it did not cut it out. It looks awful on the stamp, but it doesn't print out too terribly. And my plan is just to go back through and outline it in black anyway. So was this a good use of time? Sure, it was fun, but I would again not recommend the Cricut for stamps. So with that said, we are finally ready to dive into this kit. This rubber stamp carving blocks kit by Instructables. I think I mentioned I actually had a gift card that I needed to use, so I chose Michael's so that I could try out this process here. And in this little kit, it comes with, you know, the information step by step. I've watched some videos, so I'm feeling pretty good. Also, I learn better just by diving in and doing it. So that's going to be our plan today. Also, this was super cool. This brand Instructables, actually, they partner with Donors Choose and they donate a portion of each of these purchases to Donors Choose. I used to support Donors Choose so much because essentially you can support local classrooms and teachers with items that they need and help them fulfill their wish list. It's a super great organization. One year I actually got all of my coworkers, this is when my team was really tiny, but I bought all my coworkers like $20 gift cards to Donors Choose so that they could go in and donate to their own classrooms that they wanted to do. So if you're looking for, you know, a really impactful gift this holiday season, go check out Donors Choose. You will not regret it. Okay, also in this kit, we have a brayer, and this is an ink brayer. I already have a brayer for my Cricut, and I did read that you can use it, but also I didn't want to get ink on it because I use it for my Cricut. So we have our brayer. We have one of these tools here. This is kind of a cheap version of the Speedball. The Speedball brand and others actually have the ability to twist off, and you can put your little attachments on the inside for storage. This does not, so we'll figure that out. But there's the tools. And then we have our linoleum blocks, and this is what we are going to carve into. So the first thing I did, I printed these out yesterday. Wait, was this yesterday? Or was this the day before yesterday? My days are so blending together, but I printed this out when I started the original process. Okay, so this is nice and thick, and oh, this is gonna be fun to work with. So that is our little linoleum there. And one of the things that I read, so I don't have tracing paper, but it says that I can use nail polish remover or acetone and transfer the image. So maybe I'll start with the smaller, actually it doesn't really matter. We'll just, and then we'll see if we can get this to transfer. Yeah, that did not work at all. And it just came right off. Okay, well, apparently that does not work. Should have tested it on the small one. All right, well, I just discovered the issue, by the way. That method works for laser printers, and apparently I don't have a laser printer. So we are going to shift gears and we're gonna trace. Okay, so we'll just put that up here. And I got my pencil. All right, so there's our trace, and I am gonna cut this smaller just because, again, I don't want to accidentally waste any. And I've never done this before. Again, just keeping it real, but I learn better by doing, as I mentioned. So for me, that is what we are doing. We're doing. All right, now I want to use this as a reference. So the dark pieces I want to keep intact, and the white pieces are the spaces I want to remove. So we're just going to start around the edge. And again, I did watch some tutorials. Number one, go away from you. Okay, so that's a start. We have that little outline, and then we are going to do some detail. Okay, and just like yesterday, the temperature today is supposed to be in the high 90s. I think we're pretty close, and it's like almost 2:30. So that's a little scary because it limits the amount of time I can spend up here in my craft room. So I ended up with a few different stamps that I'm pretty happy with that I'm going to use for different reasons. Each method has its pros and cons for sure. Number one, Cricut. As I mentioned, I do not recommend that for any sort of complex stamps. I honestly don't recommend it for stamps at all, but that also could be user error. I fully admit that, but it is not something that I'm going to use going forward to make stamps. And then let's talk about the lino cutting. So lino cutting is a skill that takes time to develop. Now, I'm pretty happy with what I created my first try, but I was a little ambitious thinking I was going to be able to do a big image. My hand, by the way, it hurts. It hurts, and it takes time to carve. You know what also is challenging? Curves and shapes and just getting the feel for the tool. Did not cut myself one time, and again, I made two little stamps that I'll probably use just for stationery or something like that. The most successful method, friends, the most successful method was simply just cutting out foam myself in the shape that I was looking for and gluing it to a piece of wood. that was the most successful method that I found for making personal stamps. So shout out to all of you printmakers out there. Again, that is a skill, and it is definitely something that I'm glad I tried. Will I continue making stamps? Maybe, but I am ready to dive back into upcycling and sewing for sure. So overall, stamp making is fun, and there are so many methods that you can use, so many different types of inks. It really just depends on what you plan to use it for. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and learned something along the way, mistakes and all, and I'll see you next time.